Today we're going to move on with our study of plot. We're going to use the story The Riptide. But before we do, I want to make sure that you have all gone back into your Google Classroom and done what are the parts of the plot video. If you have not done this, please do so. You're going to get a quiz on the 6 parts of the plot in the next few days, and I'm going to show you how to do a plot chart, and that's going to be important moving forward. So before we even do this story called Riptide, I'm going to show you something else. I want to show you how to actually fill in one of these plot charts that I did during the video, the original video. So I'm going to do it. You have this. If you actually go into your classroom, you'll have something called plot chart. Don't use these until I tell you. While I do this, you can open the Little Red Riding Hood one, or you can just watch along with me. I really don't care. If you want to practice with one, you can do this. Okay, so hopefully you know the story of Little Red Riding Hood. She goes into the woods to see her grandmother. She meets a wolf. The wolf disappears. In the meantime, the wolf goes to grandmother, throws grandma in the closet, gets ready for Little Red to come. Little Red knocks on the door, says to grandma, "What big eyes, big nose, big teeth." The wolf attacks Little Red. They run around. A hunter comes in, shoots the wolf, and Little Red Riding Hood, the grandma, and the hunter all have lunch together. Okay, so the first thing you always want to do is, if I give you one of these, is you want to fill in the name of the story. So we're going to say Little Red, and I'm going to do things kind of short. Okay, now remember, you have your 6th part, your exposition, where you meet the story, right? Then you have right here on the corner, and I like to make sure you know it's on the corner. This is a timeline. If I pull this end of the timeline out, it is straight. We can make it straight, and it's a timeline. So the story has to go in this order. And think about why it changes. Things are going along. You have your exposition, and then right here is where the problem starts. Then you have this rising action, like a ladder, goes up, 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 up. You have the climax where you have the problem, the turning point of the problem, something with the protagonist, problem changes. You have your falling action where things start getting back to normal, and your resolution. Okay, so here we have all these cards. Take a minute, turn the video off, and read through them. Okay, hopefully you're back. Now we're going to find the exposition. I can see this one. Little Red Riding Hood lives with her grandmother in the forest. So I'm going to click on it once. I'm going to hold the edge. I'm going to move it down here to exposition. That is the part that tells me about the background, the setting, and the characters. So now I know in this story that my protagonist, and you should fill these in, is Little Red. And I know my antagonist is the wolf. And the type of conflict is individual versus, nope, it's not nature. It's not nature because this wolf can talk. So we're going to say individual. Okay, go. Because the wolf is talking, he's really a, oh, that's the conflict, isn't it? The wolf is the antagonist. And I'm going to cut this, Control X, and we're going to put it up here. Individual versus individual. The problem is the wolf wants to eat Little Red Riding Hood. Good. Okay, so make sure you fill those out. And again, because the wolf is a talking wolf, he's really more like a person, not a wolf. If it was a person in the woods really being attacked by a real wolf, it would be individual versus nature. Okay, so we want to see the initiating event. That's where your protagonist and your antagonist are going to meet each other. So that would be, here we go. As she walks in the wood to her grandmother's house, she meets a wolf. Okay, so we're going to put that there, right on the corner. And he asks where she's going. Okay, so I like to do actually the initiating event and the climax first. I'm going to tell you that because this is where the problem is. Remember, a story is nothing but a problem. So this is where the problem starts. runs into a wolf. Now, where does that problem change? Which is right here. Little Red realizes it's not her grandma, but the wolf. As he attacks her and is about to eat her, a hunter hears the screams, comes to the door, and kills the wolf. So we're going to put this card right here because that's where her problem changes. Now, again, initiating event and climax are the most important parts of a story. I like to do them first because this rising action is often really hard to find. And on tests, you're often asked about the rising action. And if you're not careful, you don't really know where it starts or finishes. But if you've already put your initiating event and you've already put your climax, it's pretty easy to find the events in the rising action. Okay, so we want to put those in order. The wolf takes a shortcut to Grandma's house is going to be first. So we're going to put that down here because it comes, remember, this is a timeline. He throws her in the closet, puts on her clothes, and prepares for Little Red's arrival. Then Little Red arrives, right? So we're going to put that a little bit higher up here. Again, timeline, and then she arrives, then they hunt her. They take her out of the closet as the falling action. Things are starting to get back to normal, right? And then at the end, they all share lunch. All right. And then the last thing, I often put some of the other elements of fiction on here. Theme, don't talk to strangers. Okay? So that's how you fill it in. Not so hard. Okay, if you want to fill yours in, go ahead. But now we're going to move on to another story. We're going to move on to the Riptide. This was very nice. This was a nice little story that we did. We did it with images. Now we want to move to text. When you read a text, a story, and this isn't very long, it's called the Riptide. We want you to read it. And I'm going to want you to find those important parts. I'm going to want you to find the parts of the story that have to do with the conflict. Because a story is only a problem. It's only a conflict. That's what it is. And that's what you need to figure out. So I want you to find always where the conflict starts and where the conflict changes. Okay? When you read a story, before you fill in a plot chart, I'm always going to ask you to read it one time first and answer 4 questions. You're going to see these 4 questions every time we read something of fiction. And when you take an E-card or an SOL, I'm going to ask you to answer these, and it's going to be part of your grade. So the questions are, who is the protagonist? What is the conflict? Explain and identify the type. When does the problem start? That's your initiating event. And when does the problem change? And that's your climax. These are those 2 important parts of the plot. If you can find those, you can find everything else. So I want you to go ahead and read the Riptide. I want you to answer these questions. Highlight in yellow where the problem starts, the initiating event. Highlight in green where the climax is, where that problem changes. Okay? So go ahead and do that. Now, when you finish, I want you to go back to your plot charts, and there's a Riptide plot chart right there. And then I want you to fill in all the parts of the Riptide. So you're going to have to write some stuff in here. And you're just going to click in, and you can start writing like that. Okay? All right. I think I am going to give you a grade on the Riptide since I'm not there. So please, you'll see that it has stars in front of it. Please get this done and turn it in, and we'll go from there. Thanks. Have a good day.